Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike Morse, and you may know me from the billboards, the TV commercials, or my mom, as it's been mentioned. She's been in a few of them, but I'm that lawyer. But today, I'm not here to sell you anything. No legal services, no catchy slogans. I'm here to tell you the truth about success, and about what it really takes to build something that lasts, something strong, something meaningful, and something fireproof. But this talk, it's not about me. It's about you. But first, you need to hear a little bit about my upbringing and my childhood right here in Detroit. And then we're going to talk about your future, your next chapter, and your shot. It's about what's possible when you stop making excuses and start betting on yourselves and decide how you want to show up in your own life. So where did I start? Let me take you back to when I was 12 and my parents got divorced. And when that happened, my whole world cracked open. The ground beneath me just sank, and suddenly nothing felt stable. Middle school and high school were a blur after that. But what wasn't a blur was being bullied by other kids, being the new kid in a new school, being picked on because I was Jewish and a little bit different. And people assumed things about me that weren't true, and I eventually started to believe some of them. I floated through high school, didn't see the point of really trying. I thought smart people were born smart, and I didn't realize it was something that you could become through some effort. I ended up at a not-so-great college out west, far away from Detroit, because I wanted to get away and run away for a little while. Didn't get the best grades, didn't have the best habits, and I didn't have a plan. But I had one thought that I kept coming back to. Maybe I could be a lawyer. You see, my dad was a lawyer, and I used to watch him in court, and I used to go to his office with him on Saturday mornings right here in Detroit at the First National Building, and he was passionate, and he cared. And I watched how he treated people. I watched how he treated the judges and the clerks and the custodians in his office building and the people who would take his car. Through his personality, he would make people's lives better. Through the work that he did for Detroiters, he would make people's lives better. And he loved what he did. And I admired that. But here's the problem. As I kept thinking about becoming a lawyer in law school, I knew that I didn't know how to study. I kind of coasted through college. I relied on my frat brothers in Arizona. We passed group projects because we were in a group project and I had some motivated teammates. I was all charm and not a lot of discipline. And after college, if I wanted to go to law school, I had to take the LSAT. And I researched it and I realized I had to get a 30 minimum to get into the University of Detroit School of Law. So I studied and I took practice tests. And I shut out the distractions and I focused and I treated like it was life or death. And I got 30 on the nose. And then I went to law school, came back from Arizona, went to the University of Detroit Law School, right down the street from here. And boy, was it a wake-up call. Day one, I walked in and I immediately felt out of place. Everyone seemed smarter than me. Everyone seemed more confident, more prepared. I remember that first day of school, these kids must have all gone to Ivy League schools, and I barely made it here. I had no backup plan, I had no trust fund, I had no safety net. I knew that if I wanted to build a different life, I had to go all in. So I did. Every night after school, I'd go home and I'd rewrite my notes. I'd study, I'd read. I went to the professor's office hours. I asked lots and lots of questions, some I thought were pretty dumb. I sat in the front. I treated every single class like it mattered. Then came the first grades in December, our first midterm grades. And I was scared to death because this was the first time I was taking non-multiple choice questions. I was taking essay questions, and it was just me versus this test. There was nobody there to help me. This was not a group project. I remember my heart pounding, and I remember taking those classes and getting my grades back. And I remember being shocked that I got all A's. First time. Thank you. And I realized for the first time at age 22 that I wasn't average, that I wasn't dumb, that I'm actually smart, but I just had to put a little bit of focus and a little bit of time and a little bit of energy into it. It was the first time. But life wasn't done testing me. A few months later, in May of the first year of law school, which is your hardest year of law school, there's 3 years, the first one's the hardest. May exams came up and I'm studying and I'm in the middle of my law school exams. And the only reason I was going to law school was for my dad, to become partners with him. And in the middle of my exams, I came home one night from studying and my mom told me my dad had died. He was 49 years old. I was 22 years old. He was my mentor, my hero, my only reason I was going to law school. My whole life was shattered. In that night, I thought to myself, did I really want to finish law school? Did I still want to be a lawyer if I couldn't practice with my dad? The one person I wanted to call my partner, to call my boss, the one person who believed in me was gone. Obviously, all these years later, you all know the story that I did finish law school. I did push through. I dug deep and I kept going. And it would have been easier to stop. But I pushed through, got my grades, changed my life, and graduated law school. And some of the people who changed my life forever were the people that I met in a classroom setting like this. And I had no idea. Some of my best friends, some of my mentors, some of the people who refer me cases sat in a room like this when I was in my 20s. And I didn't even know. And I met them in law school. My inner circle, my partners. Just like some of your future collaborators and mentors might be sitting right here next to you in this room, you just never know. But you only find those people if you show up. And I mean not just physically show up, but I mean really show up. And I feel like I'm kind of preaching to the choir because you guys are here. And there are thousands of other kids who saw the posting and didn't come today. And I know some of you had classes here, but you guys are here. You guys have put down your phones. You guys are here following what I'm saying, and that is half the battle. But what I wish I knew when I was in law school was how important it was to show up to everything. How important it was to make eye contact with people and shake professors' hands and say yes to almost everything. And being curious and being involved and joining groups and joining things that you don't have to do. I learned how important it was to show up on time to class and that people notice and professors notice. And I remember the first time I went to an office hours, there weren't a lot of kids there, and I remember somebody going up to the professor and thanking them and looking them in the eye and shaking their hand, and it was a profound effect on me, and I started doing that. Even if I was tired, even though I was working jobs, even if you had too much to drink the night before, success is built on consistency and not comfort. So showing up and shaking hands and saying thank you to your professors and sitting up front and dressing nicely, these were all things that I learned in law school that has helped me throughout my career. And I also learned about showing up for your friends and being the one who checks in and making sure that your friends are doing okay with studies, with family. When they call, you answer the phone. Support is a two-way street, and I also learned that throughout law school. And showing up for opportunities, right? You didn't skip this speaker event, but there are career fairs, and there are internship interviews, and you never know who you're going to meet. You never know. You come to one of these events. I've hired people off of events like this. You just never know who you're going to meet. One handshake, one eye contact can change the rest of your life. And I also like to tell young students when I meet them, what you wear matters. Everywhere. To school, to events, to interviews. We're paying attention. We pay attention. I'm looking at people to say, well, if this person's going to work for me, what are they going to look like? What kind of eye contact do they make? What kind of handshake do they give me? I'm meeting people all the time. I've hired thousands of people. I've met tens of thousands of clients. And how I act and how I dress and how I look at them and how I shake their hand matters. So it's showing respect for yourself. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be clean and intentional. And the other thing that I want to talk about is showing up on social media. That's your resume. We look at those things. Be proud of what you post. Keep it clean. Keep it professional. Keep it authentic. It doesn't ever go away. Don't worry about your mistakes in the past if you've posted things. I'm talking about right now, moving forward. And I'd love to see all of you show up on my social media feeds on either Instagram or Facebook. To 855 Mike Wins. Follow me. LinkedIn is a great one. Feel free to connect with me. Feel free to message me. Start building your network now. And again, employers will be looking at your social media one day, so you want to be proud of what you post online. And I also talk a lot about gratitude. Gratitude is huge for me. Not just with a text message, right? If you're really grateful for something, send a handwritten note. Make a phone call. A sincere email. It matters. And gratitude will set you apart. Because some of these things that I'm telling you, I know sound basic. But I'm telling you that not everybody does it, and most people do not do it. So be the one who does. You will stand out. I can't tell you, out of 100 interviews, maybe I get 1 or 2 handwritten notes. Be that person. You will stand out. Because when people are interviewing for jobs, and I don't care what kind of job it is, they're interviewing a lot of people. So people say to me, Michael, how do I get a leg up? How do I get that job? Stand out, get their attention, be a little bit different, even if it feels weird. And one of the things that I've recently taught my kids, make a gratefulness practice in your life. If you're ever feeling down, if you're ever feeling depressed, anxious, think about 3 things you're grateful for. And it could be a cup of coffee. It could be the nice weather we're having here. It could be anything. And I promise you, you'll get out of your funk. I do that every single day. So you want to win in life? Half the game, half the battle is just showing up with energy, curiosity, and respect. After law school, I landed a job at a firm. I was proud. I was excited. I felt like I had everything I'd worked here for was paying off. I was really eager. I was ready. I was willing to learn. I was there for about 3 years, and I was working my butt off until one day, in the middle of a Friday afternoon, I got fired. Just like that. Everything I was doing, gone in an instant. All the cases I had, everything in that firm stayed. But luckily in those 3 years, I learned how to try a case. I learned how to take depositions. I learned how to meet with clients. I networked and I was bringing in hundreds of cases. And then I was gone without any warning, any real explanation, just they were letting me go. And I was stunned, confused, angry, embarrassed. I had no clients, no office, no cases, no money, nothing lined up. Just the weight of uncertainty on my back. So I went from feeling like I was on my way to greatness to questioning, again, did I make a big mistake? But I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let someone else decide my future for me again. So I was 28 years old, and I made a choice, probably one of the most important choices in my life, that I was going to bet on myself. I wasn't going to look for a job and risk getting fired again. So in the legal world, we call it hanging a shingle. I hung a shingle. I opened my own law firm without a safety net, no backup plan, just me, a phone, a rented desk, a rented office, and myself. And here's the unexpected part. Everything I learned from waiting tables, I was a waiter for 10 years, putting myself through high school and college, became my secret weapon in building my law firm. Breakfast shifts, late night shifts, holidays, you name it. It wasn't glamorous, but it taught me more about people, about business, about communication than any classroom ever did. And I learned how to hustle. Because the more you turn over those tables, the more you sell, the more you make. I learned how to read people really, really fast. And that helps me with my clients. It helps me when I'm picking a jury. I can tell someone's tone, someone's energy across a crowded restaurant. I learned how to multitask, 5, 6 tables at a time, They need bread, they need coffee, they need their plates taken, they need their order entered. They got kids everywhere screaming and yelling, and they were a mess. You learn all that stuff. And no matter what job you have later in life, that's probably going to be harder, waiting tables. I learned how to sell with confidence. Somebody want to order the chicken, you want to sell them the steak because you make twice as much in tips. And I could talk to clients now and teach and explain to them why they should hire me instead of somebody else. I learned that from waiting tables. And how to deal with difficult personalities, waiting tables. I have difficult personalities with clients, judges, defense counsel. It was amazing. And all of that translated into the courtroom, into the office, into the negotiation table. I would knock on doors. I shook hands. I showed up at clients' houses, at hospitals, at courthouses. I answered every call. I worked my tail off. I said yes to every opportunity because it was personal and it was real. I wasn't trying to be flashy. I just wanted to help and build something and try to win. Not just for me, but for the 30 plus employees and their families and all the clients that I had who trusted me. And slowly, one by one case at a time, I started building something real, something profitable. I started winning. And it felt really good, and I was proud of it. And it all started with one choice that I was going to bet on me. And then about 10 years in, I was doing great. I had lots of clients, 40, 50 employees, big, beautiful office. The phones were ringing. My team was growing. We had hundreds of clients, and I was bringing in millions of dollars a year in settlements and verdicts. And most of our cases came from a big law firm that you know in town. They're still around. They're still big. And it was a pretty good relationship. They would refer me thousands of cases a year. And then one day, out of the blue, I got the same call. You're fired. We're not sending you any more cases. No explanation, no warning, no thank you for the 10 years of handling our client cases. It was just done. Overnight, 70% of my business disappeared. I had massive payroll, rent, people working for me with large families depending on me, and suddenly everything I'd built felt like it was crumbling. Just like the other stories about me that you just heard, that I got fired and my dad dying, it was another fire in my life. And I did not have time to feel sorry for myself because I had all those families to feed. I had my own family to feed, and I had a lot of people depending on me. So what did I do? I rolled up my sleeves and I got back to work. But then if that wasn't enough, another fire hit, and this time a literal one. My office building on Southfield Road burnt to the ground in the middle of July in 2007. I pulled up to my office at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I saw fire trucks, and I saw fire people running around putting out the fire. The entire building was destroyed, smoke in the walls, all the files were charred, everything was gone. I was crushed, I was angry, I was sad and scared. Again, though, I couldn't stay down because you don't get to decide when life tests you. You only get to decide how you respond. So what did I do? I got up, I rebuilt, and I came back stronger, smarter, as we call it, fireproof. I was fireproof. If I could withstand all that and keep going, that is the definition of fireproof. So I diversified my marketing. I started running the TV ads that you guys all see now since 2011. I put up some billboards. I invited my mom to be in the commercials with me, and I didn't stop. I wanted to beat those guys who fired me really, really bad. And when they fired me that year, I was bringing in about $17 million a year of settlements and verdicts. And today, this year, 13-ish years later, we're going to do nearly $300 million. So, thank you. So we went from broke and burned out to building the largest personal injury firm in Michigan, one of the largest in the country. And not because I'm the smartest or the luckiest, but because I showed up I bet on myself. I kept going. And this taught me that the fire, the firings, the fear, the failure, and what does that mean for you guys here today? I'm going to give you some practical tips, some ideas. I was lucky enough to golf this weekend with 3 kids who were all graduating from Cass Tech. And I told them I was coming to talk to you guys. I'm like, what should I tell them? And these great students were like, they want practical advice. They want to know exactly how you did it. So one takeaway is I don't ever rely on just one source or anymore. Just don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I didn't want to have one boss, only just one opportunity, one paycheck. I wanted a pipeline. I wanted to learn the hard way that depending on one thing is a dangerous game, whether it's a job, a relationship, or even one skill set, because it can vanish in a second. So I believe in diversifying, in building a toolkit, and building skills to build value to yourself in your life. Be so good at whatever you do and wherever you work that they can't ignore you. And be so resourceful that they can't control you and that you become indispensable to them. And know that you will get knocked down. Hopefully not as many times as I have been knocked down, but you will get knocked down. It's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. You'll get ghosted, you'll get fired, you'll get dumped, you'll get rejected, you'll get underestimated. Life will punch you in the face when you least expect it. But those hits, they don't define you. What defines you? Getting back up. And these crises that you will face reveal your character. And it's easy to be confident when everything is going great and everything is going your way. But who are you when it's all burning down? When that fire hits, literally or figuratively, do you fold or do you rebuild? And remember that the comeback is always stronger than every single setback that you're ever going to have. Every time I got knocked down, I came back better, smarter, more focused, more dangerous. You learn more in the flames than you ever will in the comfort. And don't be afraid to bet on yourselves. After getting fired, I started from scratch. And years later, I remember looking out from the stage at my own law firm holiday party. I had hundreds of people, their families, all supporting me, all supporting our firm. My life changed and their lives changed, all because I decided not to quit. So, a couple more practical things that I have taught my children and that I will give to you today, that I wish I did when I was in college. With social media today, it's very easy to start building your own personal brands. Every single one of you has a personal brand. I'm looking around this room and I see them. Now it's your job to put it out there into the universe. Tell me who you are. You may not think you have a brand yet, but you do. And it's your reputation, it's your energy, it's how you show up in the world and online. And today your digital footprint means more than ever. And it's free. I want you to start on LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I want you to create one tonight. That's your homework. My daughter, who just graduated college, applying to law schools, she just created a LinkedIn. And I want you all to do the same, whether you have any idea what you're going to do with the rest of your lives or not. Again, it costs nothing. Look at mine. Look at others. Feel free to connect with me. I hope make me really happy tonight if I get home and I look at all my new connection requests and I see 50 new people trying to connect. Upload the best picture you have of yourself. Doesn't have to be in a suit and tie, just clean and confident and approachable. Write a short bio, who you are, what are you studying, what are you interested in. Add your experiences up to now. Where have you volunteered? Where have you worked? What sports teams do you like, or what sports have you played? Anything that shows discipline and character and who you are. And start connecting with people. You just invite, connect. Not everybody's going to connect with you, but who cares? And invite 100 connections. Start with your classmates, professors, mentors, me. You never know who might open a door, who might be there for you one day. Same thing for your Instagram. People are watching. Future employers, mentors, admissions officers. Clean it up. What story does your feed tell? Is it someone who respects themselves, who's driven, who's creative? If not, fix it. Delete the stuff that you're not proud of. Be real. Have it show who you actually are, but be intentional. I want to see your interests. I want you to share your wins. I want you to post your progress. Use it to network, not just scroll. Your Instagram can be more than just the likes. It can be leverage for your next step of your life. Again, this is your brand. And I would ask you all to consider to start right now and build it with purpose. And like I suggested earlier about my waiting table days, I would suggest all of you working in a job that will teach you some skills in life. It doesn't have to be the job that you want to do for the rest of your life, but just learn some skills. And if you know what you want to do, sure, try to get a job in that profession to start learning to see if it really is the job you want. And I tell people, don't do it just for the money. Money's great, and if you can get paid, great, but do it for the experience. I worked in restaurants for nearly a decade. I bussed tables, I waited tables, I hustled my butt off, and it taught me a ton. That experience taught me, as I've shared, how to communicate, how to deal with tough people, how to multitask. And you don't have to wait for that dream job. Just get in the game, do something, build your skills up, show up, and be great at it. You know, when I used to teach at University of Detroit for a few years, and we would talk about interviewing techniques. One of my first interviews in law school, I hadn't had a law job yet. I had nothing to talk about. You want things to talk about in an interview. So it doesn't have to be overly relevant to that job, but you will learn things to talk about in whatever job you take. And if they look at you and say, do you have any questions before I let you go from this job interview? One of my favorites is, what would it look like for me to be successful in this job? Let them explain to you. That's a good question that most people don't ask. And I like it when people ask me that question because I have to think about it and I could be honest with that person and say, you want to be here as a clerk, as a secretary, as a lawyer? This is what I'm looking for. This is what will make you successful. The other thing that changed my life, and I preach to my daughters all the time, is reading changed my life. I did not love to read when I was in college, but I'm letting you know that once I started, I got sharper, I got smarter. Books gave me confidence. It increased my vocabulary, my vision. I don't care if you're reading fiction or nonfiction, self-help or what. But one of the tools is you could start today, you could read 10 pages a day. Anything. Some of my favorite books, The Four Agreements. I just read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, which is a great book. Make Your Bed is a book that teaches discipline. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's a great one. Don't wait for a teacher to assign it. You might be in an interview and somebody says, tell me about the last book you read. You want to have an answer. I didn't have an answer when I was in college because I was so busy trying to keep up. But I'm telling you, reading, even just stuff that interests you, you'll be more interesting, more relatable, and more employable. And yes, it makes you smarter. And I've never actually talked to, I've given lots of talks to law students. I've even given talks to elementary students and never to college students like yourselves. And somebody brought up this to me this week. Lately, you hear a lot of people saying, find your passion. Follow your passion. That's the job you should do. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm going to give you a different slant on that. What if you don't know what your passion is? When I was in my 20s, I didn't know, other than being a lawyer. I want you to get a job and follow your effort and follow your curiosity and get good at something. Get skilled at something, and then your passion is going to show up later when you're confident and competent and respected. At 22, I had no idea other than I liked helping people. And I liked arguing. You can just ask my mom about that. I liked solving problems. I followed it, and it turned into a purpose. So don't wait around for passion to show up. Build something. Passion shows up after you put in the hard work. And I also wish I had a real mentor earlier. You hear the term mentor a lot, right? But they're real and they're good. And you need to find one. Not just someone to give you some advice, but someone who gives you perspective, who challenges you, who sees what's possible in you before you see yourself. The good news is it's easier than ever on LinkedIn and Instagram and email. We didn't have those things when I was growing up. And I was thinking, I crafted a message. If you sent me a message, hi, Mike, I'm a student at WCCC and I graduated from Cass Tech and I'm curious about the law. But what I'm not sure about is if this is the right path. Would you be open to a 15-minute coffee chat, and I'm happy to pay for it and bring it to you? I'd be grateful just to ask you a few questions. How do you say no to that? It was respectful, it was humble, it was direct. And I think most people who are successful want to help, want to give back, want to give their time. I know I do. Do you know how many messages like that I get a year? 1, 2. Practice outreach. Send 100 of those messages. Practice the communication. Practice confidence. Fake it till you make it. And I think you'll be happy and surprised. And you find a mentor who's doing something that you're proud of, that's something you want to do. Maybe a profession, maybe a job. It could be anything. And I'd be remiss if I didn't put a plug here and give you a few ideas about law school. You don't have to be 100% sure if you want to be a lawyer or go to law school or be a lawyer forever. But law school is kind of like a Swiss Army knife. It gives you the tools you can use in any job you can ever have. And here are 10 short reasons why I think you should think about law school. Okay? You don't have to know exactly what you want. It doesn't just make lawyers, it makes leaders. Some of the most successful people I know have law degrees and they never practice law a day in their life. They become CEOs or entrepreneurs or politicians or real estate moguls. They use the law as a launching pad. Number 2, you learn how to think differently. You learn how to think critically and argue persuasively. It teaches your brain how to think different. You're more clear, you're more strategic, and you never look at a contract or a news article or a debate the same way. Number 3, you learn how to write and speak with confidence. In a world where communication is key, it's everything, gives you a massive edge. Whether you're pitching an idea, sending an email, negotiating a lease, it helps to speak with clarity and power. And you could fight for people who need a voice. If you care about justice, if you care about kids, if you care about victims, if you care about the wrongly accused, the law is your weapon. You don't have to march down the street to make a change. Some of the best protests is a well-written brief. And you can make good money being a lawyer. Let's be honest. Being a lawyer can be lucrative. It can change a financial future. It changed my family's future. I started with nothing. I got fired, my building burned down, and now I employ over 250 people. And 6, there are lots of scholarships. There's lots of financial aid. In fact, I have a scholarship at Wayne State for law school for minority students named after my dad, which I'm proud of. And I've seen students go to Wayne State for free on that scholarship. There's money out there for people who hustle with grit and have strong grades. So don't let the sticker prices scare you away. Ask the questions and apply anyway. Number 7, you meet incredible mentors and professors and judges and students and people who want to invest in your success. So you show the effort and they will show up for you. 8, you'll learn how to win arguments, and it's fun. The right way, not by yelling, not by dominating, but by using facts and strategy and persuasion. You'll learn how to outthink people, not just outshout them. Law school rewires your brain. You'll become a problem solver, a strategist. You'll anticipate challenges before they happen. You'll see opportunity where others see chaos. And the 10th reason is why not? If you don't know any lawyers, if you're the first in your family to go to college or go to law school, and you feel like it's not your world, that's exactly why you should kick the tires and think about going. I was that kid once. You can be the first. You can be the one. If any part of you is even curious, lean into it. Shadow a lawyer, shadow a law practice, take a practice LSAT, ask someone who went, ask me. Worst case, you learn something about yourself. Best case, you change your life. You never know what door may open. So what's the point of all this? Life's going to test you. People are going to doubt you. You will doubt yourselves. But if you show up, if you work hard, if you stay grateful, if you keep learning, if you build relationships, then nothing can stop you. You will be fireproof. So let's make this real. I'd love you all tonight to go home, shake someone's hand and say thank you. Practice your gratefulness. Someone who you don't think hears it enough. Read those 10 pages a day. Share it with someone. Send a message to someone you admire, maybe a DM, a text, or an email. Ask them a question, introduce yourself. Don't think about it. And write down one goal or dream. And maybe one step towards that dream or goal. You're starting to show up for yourselves. You're here today, and it's amazing. So you already know me from the billboards and the commercials. Now you know what built me and everything I've done and everything that you can too. I believe in all of you, and now it's time for you guys to bet on yourselves. All right? So let's do this. Thank you, guys. Thank you.